Hey folks, Mike Life Behind Bars 406. I wanted to bring you this episode to talk about pre-ride inspection. We're going to go to the garage. We're going to kind of reiterate all this stuff. But whenever your motorcycle has been sitting, even overnight, it's very, very imperative to do a pre-ride inspection, even a simple walk around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through kind of a detailed inspection. I use the acronym from Motorcycle Safety Foundation. It's called TCLOCS. Tires and wheels. The T stands for tires and wheels. C stands for controls. Could be anything from brake lever, clutch lever, yada yada. The L, lights and electrics. O is oils and other fluids. C, the other C is for chassis. Anything chassis, suspension related, anything like that. And then the S is side stand. Side stand is very important. You'll see why here in a short few. In the meantime, glad you tuned in. Hope you're enjoying the channel. And again, this is for educational purposes only. I highly recommend that anything that we talk about, consult your motorcycle owner's manual or your dealership. That way your machine it's your machine. They know more about it. They know the in-depth, the latest and greatest. So please always consult one of those two references. Don't use the internet. Make sure you talk to a person, please, or a manual that's in writing. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the garage. Let's do some TCLOCS. Let's do a little pre-ride inspection, walk around, and let's get Pearl up on the lift, and let's see what we can come up with. Hang on, we're headed to the garage. Stay tuned. Hey folks, Mike Life Behind Bars 406. Glad you tuned in today. It's getting close to riding season, and so your bike's been sitting all winter, and you want to do the first good pre-ride inspection on it. Hopefully it's been on a battery tender. If you haven't seen that series, please go back and watch that series. By all means, get you a battery tender. It's going to save your battery. Batteries are very expensive, especially on these new beasts, anything from 23.5 up to the new 25s. They're power mongers. They love power. So in about a week to 2 weeks, your battery is going to be dead. So make sure you get a battery charger. Make sure you get the appropriate battery charger. Consult your motorcycle shop. They'll tell you exactly which one you need, what amperage. So just look into that. Make sure that happens. Today's model is Pearl. It's a 24 Road Glide. It's a money pit, but hey, you know what? It's two wheels in motion, going down the road, breeze between your knees. We're having fun. So it's only money. You can't take it with you. So today what I want to do is go over, I use, where I'm a motorcycle safety instructor, MSF has got a pre-ride inspection called, the acronym is called TCLOCS. Basically what that stands for is the T, tires and wheels, and we're going to go through all these, but I'm going to give it to you first, how I do my pre-ride inspection. T is for tires and wheels. The C is for controls, throttle, front brake, clutch, so on and so forth, gear shift lever, brake pedal, stuff like that. So the L is lights and electrics. You want to make sure that all your lights are working properly, your headlight, your high beam, your brake lights, your turn lights. By all means, you want everything working on your machine whenever you get out there this spring and summer. So the O is oil and other fluids, engine oil, transmission fluid. If you have a drive shaft, you'll have drive shaft fluid, brake fluids. Make sure you don't have any leaks on that. So now we move on to the C, which is chassis. Believe it or not, the chassis, it could be suspension, it could be frame, it could be motor mounts, it could be suspension points, whatever, okay? So then we move to the S, which is a side stand, which is, believe it or not, one of the most important. If the spring on this is bad, or if it is bad, you always want to make sure that it has plenty of spring and make sure that it goes to the full motion. Some of them will have little rubber bumper pads. Make sure that's in here just to keep from banging up your frame. But with that being said, so some of the tools that you're going to need, it's pretty simple. You can use a simple tire gauge. You can go to any of them, and I'm not going to name drop, but you can go any of the box stores. You can get these style tire pressure gauges. It's real simple. You put too much in, you got the little dimple on the back to release some pressure. By all means, get one of these. I think they make them about that big. Throw them in your tool pack. whatever, doesn't matter. This is basically a belt tension gauge. You may or may not need it. If you don't have a belt, of course you don't need it. If you ride a Harley, this is a key piece of tools that you're going to need. So basically what this does, it's got a preset tension, like 10 foot-pounds of pressure. You put it on your belt and you read the deflection. I'm not going to tell you what that deflection is because I'm going to refer you to your motorcycle owner's manual or your local dealer. They will tell you what that deflection is supposed to be. This little piece, 15, 20 bucks, you can get them all day long on the internet. Shop around. Or if you want to get a little bit nicer, you can use one of these gauges. Again, it's got all the same things. The check, it's got the dump valve. Up here, it has your scale. And then this one has a tread depth gauge on it, which is pretty neat. It's got the green, yellow, red indicator. You see the little needle protruding there. You stick that in your tread depth and you check that. We'll do that here in a minute. But those are the main tools that you're going to need. If you're on a Harley, you're probably going to need an Allen wrench to check one of your oils. This particular model, a Harley, has 3 different oils. You have a primary oil. On the other side, you have an engine oil and a transmission oil. That's just the way Harleys are made. Most Harleys. I'll put that caveat in there. The newer ones, of course, have your radiator fluid. Won't worry about that. That is a sealed system. Whenever you do your services, you can check that. Again, consult your local dealership, your service department, or you can check your motorcycle owner's manual. If not, I'm sure there's YouTube videos for that as well. Other than that, pretty much we'll get started. I'll show you kind of my routine. This is the first one for the year, so yes, this is a big one. Now, should you go into this detail every time you ride? Probably not. Most of us aren't going to do that. But at a minimum, walk around your bike, check the tires, make sure no fluids are leaking, make sure all your cables, look at your brake calipers, look at up on your, of course this is a cable clutch, but look at your brake reservoirs and any of your brake reservoirs, anywhere there's a line that has fluid in it, look, make sure it's not leaking. Run your fingers along the bottoms here, make sure there's nothing leaking. Good thing it wasn't leaking. Whew. Anyway, again, just walk around, make sure that everything that will keep you safe. Tires and wheels, yeah, your lights and electrics, you're going to see them, but tires and wheels, make sure you don't have any leaks. Make sure your clutch is operating correctly, both brakes, front and rear brake. Just kind of do a 5-10 minute walk around while you're gearing up, while you're getting the bike ready, pulling out of the garage, whatever. Just don't hop on that motorcycle and take off, please. It's dangerous enough, motorcycling, because people's not paying attention these days, but at a minimum, please do that, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to go out of order a little bit just because I've got this motorcycle up in the air. I do know that where it's set over the winter, the tires are low. And I'll show you how to find out what that's supposed to be. But I do know because, again, these things they're electronic. They're awesome when they're working. It's barking at me. When I started it to pull it up on a lift, it says your tire pressures are low. So I know they're low. They've set over the winter. They've bled off a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. You probably don't have a gross leak. It's probably just a very minor leak, basically where it's been stored. But that's to be expected. Plus most of us are riding on aluminum wheels. Aluminum wheels sometimes are porous, therefore they'll just leak off, okay? So without further ado, what we're going to do, I want to check the tread depth on the front tire and the air pressure, and then we'll go from there. So it's pretty simple. Just stick the gauge up here. It has a surface. Stick it in there and check it. As you can see, I'm very well in the green. Thank God. Okay. Take the valve cap off. And let's see what it reads. See where we're at. Looks like we're at about 30 psi. I'm not sure where that's supposed to be, but I will tell you, when you have the original tires on it, you can consult the motorcycle owner's manual, and it should tell you. However, I will caution you because let's just say I'll probably have to have tires on this bike this year. So when I change the tires, if I do not put the same tires on it, it kind of negates the motorcycle owner's manual's information because I may have switched to a different tire manufacturer, so therefore it may be different. There is a patch on the tire that will have a little block. It will tell you when the tire was made, it'll tell you the cold pressure, the hot pressure, it will tell you everything on the tire, so you don't have to go anywhere else, and please don't trust anywhere else. Even if you bought the motorcycle brand new, I still go by the tire patch. I still go by what's in the block and what it says it's supposed to be. So while we're up here on the front, I always check. That was bad. Always check just to make sure the rotor doesn't have any grooves. Just take your fingernail or your thumbnail and just go down it, both sides. Everything looks good. No leaks. Always look at the forks. Just check, make sure there's no leaks. So this side's in pretty good shape. Go to the other side, do the same thing, because a lot of motorcycles will have rotors and brakes on both sides. Same thing, no leaks. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out, these have the anti-lock brake, so therefore you're going to have a wire. Make sure that wire is not frayed or anything like that. Front tire is done. So now we'll go to the back and we'll do the same thing. The back's kind of a pain in the butt, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift this up a little bit. That way I can get to the back tire. All right. So, come back here and do the same thing. As you can see, back tire's in good shape as far as tread. And now we're going to check the air pressure. Hey, I got lucky. It's on the bottom. Alright, this one appears to be at about 32 psi. Also, I forgot to mention on this, there's a dump valve on here, so when you hit it, it just resets it back to 0. Okay, so pretty much tires and wheels. I'm just going to kind of look at the tire, roll it, make sure that I don't hear anything. No bad bearings, no grinding. One of the other things you can do on the front, you can do that as well. Here's the brake pads rubbing, but nothing major. No major grinding. Okay, so pretty much I'm going to go here and check the brakes real quick. Okay, we have no grooves in the rear rotor. We check the kickstand while we're here. While I've got it here, I'm just looking for any leaks. Any seeping, weeping, anything like that. I can see the oil filter. The oil filter looks good. The nut and the bolt is in the gear shift lever. The shift linkage, all that looks good. And again, just make sure there's nothing leaking. Same thing on the other side. Kind of do a walk around. Do that as well. Check the forks. Nothing. No leaks. Actuate the brake pedal. One of the other things that I always kind of like to do is check these floorboards. Just make sure that your floorboards are intact and that they move. Make sure everything's good on that. Just as a check, just as a sanity check. Okay, so we've kind of got that done. So that's the tires and wheels. We've checked a little bit of the chassis. Again, I'm going to skip around. So pretty much everything until we bring this bike back down is on the other side. So I'm going to reposition the camera and show you where the oil is on this model and how to check it, and then we'll go, let me stop. So the primary, I usually don't check the primary until I get ready to check it. Generally, you can take this derby cover off. The fluid should be about level with the bottom of the derby cover. You can take that off and just check it. Your choice. I know I just serviced this bike not too long ago, so I know that is correct. And there is no dipstick, there is no sight window, so on this, you physically have to take this off to look at it. On metric motorcycles, usually there's one oil. There's an engine oil, You'll have a dipstick going in the top, just screw in dipstick, and then you'll have a sight glass window. Sight glass window should have a level on it, a high and a low, or a dot. Again, consult your motorcycle owner's manual for that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this camera around over here, and we'll take a look at the other side and go from there. All right, bear with me. Here we go. Folks, I apologize for this garage, but we're coming out of winter. I've had the tractor in here, the skid steer, and it's a dust bomb, so I've got to do some maintenance. But anyway, okay, so again, we got back over here. We're on the front caliper. This is the actual line going down to the front caliper. Again, no grooves, nothing leaking on these. Just make sure there's nothing. This is your rear brake reservoir. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a window in here. You can check that fluid level. Make sure your brake is good and positive and it stops and it doesn't go all the way down or feel mushy. Again, on push rod tubes, make sure that the blocks, no leaks there, no leaks down here. Engine and transmission oil. So on this one, on the transmission, let me grab, if you'll notice, it'll have a dipstick on it and it will have a fluid level. Again, I've already checked this, so I know these are all good. On the engine oil, you'll need an Allen wrench, and this one is an Allen key. And again, it will have a dipstick on it as well. So that is your 3 fluids on a Harley. With the exception of a Sportster, and I won't get into that. Well, it's being cranky, didn't want to start. Let's see here. Why is that not going in there? Folks, anytime you're threading anything, the way that I do it, personal preference, I always turn it backwards and you'll feel that first thread kind of click. Once you feel that first thread, then you can go on with it. And on these, they just have to be snug. They don't have to be tight. Again, I'm looking at floorboards. I'm making sure they move. Make sure the rubber's good in them. Anything that can come loose, anything that can impede your forward motion of travel. And again, we've already checked the tires. Do it again just as a sanity check. While you got it up and you can see it, just make sure, like that right there, that caught my eye. You know, the covering was back off that wire a little bit. Nothing wrong with it. It's okay. But as you've got that up, kind of check it. Now, a lot of you I know don't have lifts if you got it on the ground. I've seen people board them up, center jack stands, the portable jacks. That's great. But I'm just kind of giving you the gist. You know, I have a motorcycle shop, so I have access to a lift, but this kind of gets it up in the air to where you can see it. Look underneath of it. Again, make sure that nothing is loose or coming off. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the lift back down. And so we've already done the C, or the T, I'm sorry, tires and wheels. We've done the C for the chassis. We've kind of looked at that. Then you can look up underneath, make sure nothing's leaking. So that's the chassis. The L, lights and electrics, which is what we're getting ready to check. O, oil and other fluids, we've checked that. Now, if you had a shaft drive, back here you would see a big housing and then a big round housing in the back, which is what connects the drive shaft from the engine back to the rear tire. There will be, some of them will have a sight window. Some of them you physically have to take out and look down in there. I've seen people stick their fingers in there, whatever. The main thing you're looking for is fluid level to make sure it's covering. There's a ring gear and a pinion gear. Just make sure that it's over the bottom. And again, consult your motorcycle owner's manual to where that oil can sling up on that gear. That's the main thing you're looking for. Stick your finger in there, look at it, make sure that it's clear. Make sure it's clean. That's the main thing you want. Yes, oil does break down over time If you bought the bike, you don't know when it was changed, it doesn't take that much to change it. By all means, change it and do it. Oh, you're going to get dirty too, so just so you know. Other than that, we checked the chassis, we checked the side stand. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move back around the other side. I'm going to bring the bike back down, and we're going to check the lights and electrics and kind of see where those are. All right, stay with me. Here we go. If I don't trip and kill myself, we'll be in good shape. Let's see. I'm probably going to set, yeah, let's do that. That looks pretty good. All right. Move all of our stuff. And the old safety lever on the lift. Going down. I always like to hang on to it just for the click at the bottom. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn this thing on. Everything come up. As you can see, the headlight come on. Headlights on. We've got the lights on the hand grips. You can see the rear light. Okay, so now I'm going to reach over, squeeze the front brake, make sure we got a light. I'm going to walk on the other side, then I'm going to actuate the rear brake. Make sure we have, okay. Now for turn signals, we'll make sure, as you can see, we have turn signals. See if we've got a right turn. We have a right turn, all means. Check the horn, got the horn, and then you've got high beam and low beam. High beam, low beam. Everything appears to be good, and it's barking at me because I'm showing 31 and 34. So we had, what, 30 and 32 on the gauge, so it's pretty close. Don't want to start this thing. Other than that, we've pretty much done all the checks that we need to do for the T-clocks for a pre-ride inspection if it's been sitting for a while. By all means, it doesn't hurt to do that every time you ride. As you can see, it's lengthy, it's time consuming. Minimum once a month, check the pressure in your tires. My general rule of thumb, what I do, I walk around, I kick the tires, I look at them, make sure everything's good, make sure that they look inflated. And if you've ridden long enough, you're going to know what the tire looks like. Now, anything else as far as that goes, just go and start looking clutch, brake, anything that's leaking, weeping, or seeping as far as a liquid. Other than that, anything that will impede your forward motion of travel, please, by all means, address it. Don't just say, well, you know, it ain't leaking that bad, or it's not, you know, my clutch lever or my brake lever. Squeeze it. Make sure that it works. Make sure it feels fine. Always do your pre-ride inspection. I promise you it will save your life. It's a good practice, a good habit to get into, especially if you're riding two up. Now you're responsible also for a passenger. So please, by all means, do your pre-ride inspection. Other than that, folks, that's about it. I'm open for questions, comments, concerns. Hope you liked the video. Hope it was very informative. And please, by all means, do your pre-ride inspection. You can get in touch with me through the channel. I'll try to answer all the emails that I can. And again, I hope this is an informative email. I hope to see you on the road. Stay safe, shining side up, two wheels in motion, knees in the breeze. Mike, Life Behind Bars 406. I hope to see you on the next episode. Take care.